Coin traders, what's going on? Thanks for joining me for the show. Looking at Bitcoin Cash, BCH on that ticker did just have its halving, and now we are less than 2 weeks for Bitcoin Core's halving. So probably going to be some takeaways here, maybe for what we can expect out of Bitcoin, although we did get a lot of hype already based on ETF news that we didn't have for a Bitcoin Cash, since it was primarily driven by the halving announcement right here. So did already have the halving, but you can see that the weeks leading up to it, and especially since we were 2 weeks now from Bitcoin Core's halving, let's go ahead and actually look at what happened. So the weeks leading up to this extremely nice bullish spike, very nice setup as well. And obviously there was a lot of hype for this. This is why we just had this extremely nice bullish candle effectively. And this also happened after a very, very nice breakout setup. So if we actually draw some resistance points, very nice resistance here that was actually setting up on the weekly. So initially we were looking at very strong resistance just below the $400 level before ultimately seeing our longer pullback. Did get a nice resistance point and then longer term consolidation, maintaining support on these weekly exponential moving averages. So still showing a very good sign, and despite being more or less sideways, the fact that we did see this nice bullish cross and formation on these exponential moving weekly averages, especially holding very nice support, especially in between the 12 and 26. So for example, if we actually turn off the 50 period EMA here, very nice closing level of support on the weekly this whole time. So we're actually looking at extremely long amount of time here for this kind of longer consolidation pattern. So when we actually found resistance, when we found the breakout, we were looking at about 33 bars here. So 33 weeks, 231 days effectively that we were looking at before this breakout. And then once we actually had this very nice bullish breakout of this candle, the following bearish weeks, extremely nice, especially back testing not only this 12 period EMA, but also this downtrend resistance line that had been closing weekly resistance for so long. What's amazing about this chart setup too is just the amount of bullish volume and follow through, especially after this back test from this longer term consolidation breakout pattern. So usually we don't have patterns that last this long with this nice of a setup and this much bullish follow through. So when we did get our 2 weeks of pullback here after this follow through candle on the weekly, very, very nice candle. You can see that we were only looking at covering less than about a third of this overall weekly candle for 2 weeks. And obviously a lot of these long lower shadows confirming a lot of dip buying, especially after we pulled back and kicked off extremely nicely from this weekly 12 period EMA here. So really got a lot of great things to say, but if we do zoom out, we're looking at extremely strong resistance point, and right now not necessarily that much narrative to look at to continue this run. So we know that right now we are going to be looking at some weekly consolidation, especially as these exponential moving averages do start to roll up here. But looking left here at the previous bull cycle here, you can just see how much trades were actually going on in this overall zone, basically from about 400 all the way up until just, well, we'll call it the $800 level here. So if we actually turn on the VPVR, volume profile visible range, you can see just how much volume we're looking at sitting right below us. So price right now at 680. So you can see just a lot of massive volume, but it does go all the way down to about 422. Not necessarily expecting that. Probably if we do see a pullback realistically about to 620, I would think would be one of the main nice targets as we do enter weekly consolidation for the longer term and allow some of the rest of the altcoins to actually catch up here on this move. So point is looking at a very nice spike at about 630 here, kind of right around the target we were talking about. So plenty of downside support here on this weekly. But yeah, like we said, know that right now we're not necessarily going to be expecting the next leg of this big bull pump here. While we are looking at the weekly here, though, do want to zoom in and talk about the stochastic RSI and the relative strength index RSI. So you can see right now we did peak out at 82.16, 82.29, and now on the current candle 81.71. So still plenty of need to actually see a retracement. This exponential moving averages, as you can see, would likely intersect at this point, kind of right around the 70 line. So that could be right around the time we see the exponential moving averages for the weekly roll up as well, to be a very nice support point. So typically that is what we look for, since we do know that this RSI does have to normalize around this moving average effectively. Now flipping over into the 2-day chart, do like the 2-day chart, and right now you can see how there are a lot of upper wicks right now on the last few candles. Specifically, we're looking at about the $700 psychological level, which is a huge target for the upside right now. So might start to see a little bit of a retracement, and this is where we're going to start to experience kind of some of our highs coming in, and then now we are going to try to look to set some of those daily and higher term, longer, higher lows. Because especially after such a nice run up for all of this hype for the halving, we do need time now to cool down. And so even prior to this run up, we're looking at very nice support being found in between the 12 and 26 once again. So very relevant levels, especially on this flag pullback here. So especially if the 700 does hold, likely that is what we're going to look for. Now, I think we might not necessarily see that much of a retracement all the way down to this previous trend high, looking at about 500 to 520. Although that's definitely a possible zone since previous resistance does flip into now, hopefully confirming that as support, especially as these exponential moving averages start to run up. So if we actually want to pull up a Fibonacci retracement right now, especially from this huge run up, so from the low basically to the current trend high right now, 718, if we do want to look back at seeing a pullback to the previous trend high, that would be a retracement between the 50 and the 61.8%. down to about the $500 level, just shy and under that. So actually wouldn't be necessarily that bad of a target to the downside from current prices. If we look at that as a retracement possibility, we could be looking at a potential pullback 20% down to about 27. If we are looking at a strong name setup, though, I don't think we would actually pull back to see that much. Likely in that instance, we would pull back and see defense of the 38.2. So especially if we can maintain some pressure and not necessarily see a massive sell-off, we actually would be in line to start to see a consolidation pattern that would start to meet that line for support on the 38.2% Fibonacci. Pulling up the RSI and stochastic RSI, similar things. We are still very much in the overbought level, so still need to see a little bit of a retracement. But like we said, consolidation would actually allow these RSIs to retrace to a normal level. I don't think necessarily we would see as much of a sell-off since we didn't get this much of a complete spike. And we are kind of in a mostly normal level right now, high being 80.06. If we look at the stochastic RSI, not even necessarily in the overbought levels just yet. So we could still be looking at a potential for a rollover, or even if we do find some support, seen a little bit higher. Although because we have established some pretty strong resistance up overhead right now, we are still looking at a little bit of a bearish flip and a retracement for some of that. Just wanted to flip over here to CoinMarketCap really quick before we do wrap up, because it is nice to see Bitcoin Cash holding at number 13 and still being relevant. Do still think that Bitcoin Cash is a good project, especially if you're bullish on Bitcoin. Should be bullish on Bitcoin Cash as well, especially since it is a technical upgrade. But yeah, nonetheless, I digress. But yeah, still seeing it at number 13 and still maintaining relevance is still a very nice sign in my opinion anyway. With that, though, that actually is going to go ahead and wrap up the show for a Bitcoin Cash, BCH on that ticker. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have not done so just yet. Also, make sure to drop a comment down in the comment sections below if you do have any issues, comments, questions, disagreements, all that fun stuff. Make sure to drop me a follow over on Twitter or X at coin_trades is the handle over there. But otherwise, I do appreciate all the continuous love and support as always. Means so much. Stay safe, take care, everyone, and I'll catch you back in the next video.